Thank you. I'd like to reconvene this episode of Senate Finance, and we are going to hear 6 bills, and then we are going to work session some of those bills plus some previously heard bills, but we will start with the money bills and a budget implementation piece that we've already heard, and then we'll hear another one that we haven't heard yet. So, Mr. Thorley, if you want to kick us off, are we going to start with 460?
That sounds good, Mr. Chair. Good
right.
evening, everyone. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 460 is it's the BDR that I discussed this morning, BDR S 1176. This is the BDR that contained various appropriations to state agencies related to budget reductions. I won't go through the bill again, but if you have any questions, definitely willing to ask or answer those questions. In total, the total general fund appropriation contained in the bill is $9.4 million in FY22 and $8.3 million in FY23 for a total of $17.7 million over the 21-23 biennium. And happy to answer any questions that the committee might have on the individual appropriations.
Thank you. Just a reminder, this is Senate Bill 460. It was the BDR that we heard earlier this morning, and then we introduced on the floor and referred to finance. Any questions for Mr. Thorley on Senate Bill 460? Just to verify, no changes were made to the BDR that we saw this morning. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. So we can move then to Senate Bill 487. And Senate Bill 487. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We'll hear that one after we hear Senate Bill 492, which authorizes and provides funding for certain projects of capital improvement. Mr. Thorley, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Bill 492 is what is known as the CIP bill, or the Capital Improvement Program bill. It contains...
Actually, I have to go back to, we're having a bill hearing
sorry.
here. Sorry, I have to go back to the bill and do a bill hearing.
I'm just so used to saying Senate bill.
And no, but we still have to do like the thing.
Yeah.
So, on Senate Bill 460, any questions for Mr. Thorley? All right, seeing none, I will see if we have anyone here in support of Senate Bill 460. And do we have anyone on the phone lines, broadcast services, in support of Senate Bill 460?
Thank you so much, Chair Brooks. To testify in support on Senate Bill 460, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 720. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Harrington. That is spelled CARIHERINGTON. Thank you for hearing this bill tonight. I am representing Nevada Tobacco Prevention Coalition as well as Nevada Cancer Coalition, and there are partners across the state. We very much support SB 460, which will continue our state's efforts to prevent and reduce youth vaping. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Harrington. And do we have anyone else on the phones in support of Senate Bill 460?
Thank you, Chair. We are currently in support testimony on Senate Bill 460. If you would like to testify in support, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 500. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good evening. My name is Helen Foley, Helen, Foley. And tonight I am representing the American Heart Association. And we are very excited about having this be part of Senate Bill 460. Last session, Senator Ratty was able to get funding for vaping funding proposals because this is such an epidemic. Unfortunately, it was a one-shot, and because of COVID, we were left out of the budget this time. So we are thrilled that we could be part of this add back and hope that we can work with all of you and the governor's office to become a permanent part of the budget next session. Thank you so much for your attention on this very important issue. You know, there's one statistic that just scares me to death, and that is that 1 in every 5 Nevada teens currently use some sort of electronic vapor product. And it has just become a very epidemic pandemic crisis in Nevada that needs to be arrested. And we thank you so much for this funding to help us accomplish our goals. Thank you.
Thank you. And next caller, please.
Thank you, Chair. We are currently on support testimony on Senate Bill 460. If you have joined the call and would like to testify in support, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no additional callers in support at this time.
Thank you. We have someone here at the table in support. Ms. Fisher, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I apologize for not hopping up to the table earlier. I was a little bit late coming in tonight, but on behalf, Susan Fisher, for the record, with McDonald Corrado, on behalf of American Cancer Society, Cancer Action Network, and we very much support Senate Bill 460, and in particular Section 9 of the bill, which appropriates $5 million over the biennium for education and evidence-based control programs that we believe will help prevent Nevadans from starting tobacco use. And we very much support this and we appreciate your help to keep Nevada's youth tobacco-free. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Do we have anyone else in support of Senate Bill 460? All right. Seeing none, we will go to opposition. Anyone in opposition to Senate Bill 460? Anybody on the phones in opposition to Senate Bill 460?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in opposition on Senate Bill 460, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in neutral to Senate Bill 460?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in neutral on Senate Bill 460, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no additional callers at this time.
All right, we can close the hearing on Senate Bill 460, and we can open the hearing on Assembly Bill 492. Authorizes and provides funding for certain projects for capital improvement, the CIP bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Assembly Bill 492 provides for the implementation of the 2021 Capital Improvement Program as approved by the money committees. The bill includes funding in the amount of $413.1 million for the Capital Improvement Program, $75 million to launch the State Infrastructure Bank, and $44 million for resource conservation and preservation programs of the state. The bill includes the following major funding sources to support the programs: $409.5 million in general obligation bonds, $45.7 million in agency funds, to support Nevada System of Higher Education, Department of Wildlife, and Department of Administration projects. $61.9 million in federal funds for Office of the Military, Department of Tourism and Cultural Affairs, Veterans Services, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, and Department of Administration projects, and $14.9 million in state highway funds for Department of Motor Vehicles and Department of Public Safety projects. This bill was previously discussed as BDR S1172 a few days ago, and happy to answer any questions that the committee might have on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Thorley. Does the committee have any questions on Assembly Bill 492, the CIP bill? All right, I see none. Thank you, Mr. Thorley. We will go to anyone who's in support of Assembly Bill 492. And we have in the room with us Mr. Moratkin.
Good evening, Chair Brooks. Paul Moratkin with the Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber is in support of AB 492. The Chamber is specifically in support of the infrastructure bank funds and, of course, the UNLV Engineering Advanced Building in the bill. It was also part of the Southern Nevada Forum, so appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moratkin. Anyone else in support of Assembly Bill 492? Do we have anyone on the phones in support of Assembly Bill 492?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support on Assembly Bill 492, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 837, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good evening, Kent Irvin with the Nevada Faculty Alliance. We support 492. We appreciate the funding for the UNLV Engineering Building as well as the smaller projects at GBC and WNC. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Irvin. Anyone else on the phones in support of this bill?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support on Assembly Bill 492, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 853, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Doug Unger, Government Affairs Representative, Southern Nevada Faculty, Nevada Faculty Alliance. Southern Nevada faculty strongly support AB 492 for the good reasons that have already been mentioned. Thank you so much for the good funding for the engineering building at UNLV and for your support of AB 492. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Unger. Anyone else in support of Assembly Bill 492?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support on Assembly Bill 492, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in opposition to Assembly Bill 492? No one in the room on the phones?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in opposition on Assembly Bill 492, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in the neutral position on Assembly Bill 492?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in neutral on Assembly Bill 492, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
All right, thank you. We can close the hearing on Assembly Bill 492 and open the hearing on Assembly Bill 493, which provides compensation of state employees, the pay bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division, and I have Karen Hoppy with me also. Assembly Bill 493 was presented earlier as BDR S 1173. There are 3 changes to the bill from what was presented as the BDR that I'd like to go through the committee with. I believe all the committee members are aware of the change, but just as a reminder, beginning on page 15 of the bill, under the list of employee unclassified positions for the Nevada Gaming Control Board, under subsection E, line 23 on page 15, the supervisor each position with a maximum salary of $99,431. That was inadvertently left off of the BDR and now appears in the bill. On the next page, on page 16, this is also under the Gaming Control Board section, this time under section H, miscellaneous. On page 16, line 10, there's a senior research specialist with a maximum salary of $105,322. That position was also inadvertently left out of the BDR. And then lastly, on page 21 of the bill, and this was discussed when the BDR was presented to the committee. This is in section 5 of the bill, subsection 7. On line 12 of page 21, there was a change from a salary increase in addition to the 1% increase, and it now says to any increase in salary approved. So those are the 3 changes from the BDR to the bill, Assembly Bill 493. Briefly, the bill makes general fund appropriations of $17.1 million and highway fund appropriations of $13.1 million for salary increases for non-classified, classified, and unclassified state employees. For employees not represented by an approved collective bargaining agreement, the salary increase is 1% in FY 2023. For employees of the following bargaining groups, Unit A, labor, maintenance, custodial, and institutional employees. Unit E, professional employees who provide health care. Unit F, employees other than professional employees who provide health care and personal care. Unit I, Category 3 peace officers. And Unit K, firefighters. All members of those groups will receive a 3% salary increase in FY 2023. For Category 2 peace officers, which are organized under Unit H, the bill includes funding for a 2% salary increase in addition to the 1% salary increase that is in the bill for non-represented state employees, again, effective in FY 2023. Unit H, the collective bargaining agreement for Category 2 peace officers in Unit H also includes one-time bonus payments in July 2022 for personnel who have certain continuous state service levels. Happy to answer any questions that the committee might have on the bill.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions on Assembly Bill 493 or any of the changes that were made over omissions when it was first heard? Senator Kekeffer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Has there been any analysis over how much compression or compaction might happen in the state salary schedule with 75% of employees only receiving a 1% increase and 25% receiving 3%?
Senator Kekeffer, I'm not aware that an analysis like that has been done.
Senator Gokuchiya, please.
Thank you, and I just need a clarification. The way I read it, if you're not in a bargaining unit, then you're going to get less of a raise than if you are, correct?
Senator Goycochea, that is correct.
It's still a right-to-work state, I'm sorry. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions on the pay bill or the the corrections that were made to it? All right. With that, I will go to support of Assembly Bill 493. No one in the room, so on the phone, please.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support on Assembly Bill 493, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in support at this time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in opposition to Assembly Bill 493?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in opposition on Assembly Bill 493, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 837, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Kent Irvin, Kenterbin for the Nevada Faculty Alliance. Good evening, Chair Brooks and committee members. First, we would like to congratulate AFSCME, MSLEOA, and the Battle-Born Firefighters and the Executive Department for reaching collective bargaining agreements. The full terms of the agreements absolutely must be honored in AB 493. AB 493 awards different cost of living adjustments depending on bargaining unit status. It is our understanding that legislatures in most states with collective bargaining match negotiated pay raises for employees not covered by collective bargaining agreements. This avoids disparities in the compensation structure and future salary compression. Under NRS 288, 4,000 state employees and 6,500 NG faculty are excluded from negotiating, and that includes unclassified state employees, NG faculty, managerial and confidential classified employees, as well as your hardworking LCB staff. We have no opportunity to bargain under the law. SB 373 to allow collective bargaining by faculty in NRS 288 is stalled by this very committee. My written comments have more information that's not up on Nellis yet, but I hope it will be. With AB 493, employees in the same grade and step in the same agency will have different pay. That is bad for morale and for fair compensation, as well as leading to future compression. Aside from these policy issues, a 1% cost of living adjustment in FY 2023 only is insufficient. Since the last state COLA in July of 2019, inflation has increased by 4.6% through April. For the past 10 years, cumulative state COLAs have trailed inflation by 10 percentage points. State employees, including NG faculty, have worked under difficult circumstances during the pandemic. We are very grateful that the state mostly avoided layoffs, but the hiring freezes and furloughs have meant increased workloads. Benefits have been cut and salaries were cut by furloughs. Now that the economic situation is turning around, state revenues are coming back, and federal American Rescue Plan funds are available, it is time to make state employees whole. For these reasons, we request that you prioritize your dedicated state employees by increasing salaries of all state employees by at least the 3% in 2023 negotiated by those who are allowed to negotiate under NRS 288. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other callers in opposition?
Yes, Chair. One moment while we queue them up. Caller with the last 3 digits, 853. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Doug Unger, D-O-U-G-U-N-G-E-R, Government Affairs Representative, Southern Nevada Faculty, Nevada Faculty Alliance. Thank you, Chair Brooks and distinguished senators, for your consideration. Boy, watching this budgeting process that has led to AB 493 is like quantum entanglement. You know, you hit one particle on one side of a system and another one starts to vibrate in sympathy and you don't know what's going to happen. The disparity, 1%, 3% in COLA raises for state employees proposed in this bill is going to create an imbalance and effects that nobody foresees. Especially, this will have a demoralizing effect on Nevada state employees such as Nevada faculty who do not have collective bargaining rights in statute, no matter how hard we've tried. The imbalance in compensation will not produce positive results. Nevada faculty worked our hearts out through this god-awful pandemic. We worked through the loss of colleagues, friends, and family, through emergency pivots and transitions in how and even what we teach, so we could keep providing quality education for our students safely. We've endured salary furloughs. We now face punishing cuts in health insurance and benefits. When PEB is running a 30 million in excess reserves, the state has 586 million more in revenue than expected, and will soon receive 2.7 billion in American Rescue Plan funds. Add to this that our salaries have been steadily eroding away compared to the cost of living, so that we now earn 15% less than 11 years ago, and with a 1% COLA, we'll earn 17 to 19% less by the close of the biennium. Little wonder that AB 493, if it can't be fixed, will produce quantum effects of widespread disillusionment that this government we trusted and that put its trust in us has broken that trust. We deserve recovery too. We hope you senators agree and vote no to AB 493 and bring it back to some better compromise for Nevada state employees who are not represented by collective bargaining. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition to Assembly Bill 493?
Thank you, Chair. We are currently in opposition testimony on Assembly Bill 493. Please press star 9 if you would like to testify. Chair, there are no additional callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in neutral to Assembly Bill 493?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in neutral on Assembly Bill 493, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you. That closes our hearing on Assembly Bill 493, and we can open the hearing on Assembly Bill 494.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wayne
Ms.
Thorley.
Hoppe? Thank you. Go right ahead.
Wayne Thorley for the record, LCV Fiscal Analysis Division. I have Kathy Crockett with me also to correct me when I make mistakes. This is what's commonly referred to as the Appropriations Act. It was discussed as BDRS 1170 a few days ago in committee. I won't go through the entire bill. I'll briefly go over just the total general fund appropriations included in the bill, and happy to answer any questions the committee might have. The general fund appropriations included in the General Appropriations Act total $2.9 billion in FY22 and $3.1 billion in FY23, or $6.026 billion over the 2021-23 biennium, which is an increase of approximately $292.3 million when compared to general fund appropriations approved by the 2019 legislature for the 2019-21 biennium. I'll remind the committee if those numbers seem low, that's because the funding for K-12 education is provided in a separate bill. So these appropriations do not include the amount that has been appropriated to K-12 education for the upcoming biennium. The act also includes highway fund appropriations totaling $146.7 million in FY22 and $558.7 million in FY23, or $305.4 million over the 21-23 biennium, which is an increase of approximately $41.1 million from the previous biennium. And happy to answer any questions that the committee might have on Assembly Bill 494.
Thank you, Mr. Thorley and Ms. Crockett. Do we have any questions on Assembly Bill 494? Senator Kekeffer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are there any policy-related decisions in the back language of the Appropriations Act that were not discussed or decided upon as a part of the budget-making process in subcommittee or full committee?
Senator Kekeffer, the back language of the bill is exactly as it appeared in the BDR form as staff walked through a couple days ago. In Section 86, there is a transfer from the account to stabilize the operation of state government, also known as the Rainy Day Fund, to the State General Fund in the amount of $97.5 million. That was not specifically discussed in any of the money committees. However, it was included in the governor's recommended budget as submitted to the legislature. So that's one specific item. Again, the back language is exactly as was presented to the committee 2 days ago.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Mr. Thorley. Do we have any other questions on Assembly Bill 494? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Crockett. I'll open it up to support for Assembly Bill 494. Here in the room first, and then we'll go to the phones. Looks like we have Mr. Muradkin.
Good evening, Chair Brooks. Paul Muradkin with the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in support of AB 494 and appreciate this body's allocation for funds for the UNLV Medical School. We do believe it would be helpful in their mission to support healthcare in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in support in the room? It doesn't look like we do. We'll go to the phones, please. Anyone in support to Assembly Bill 494 on the phones?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support on Assembly Bill 494, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in support at this time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in opposition to Assembly Bill 494 on the phones?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in opposition on Assembly Bill 494, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
All right, thank you. Do we have anyone in neutral on Assembly Bill 494?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in neutral on Assembly Bill 494, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you. With that, we will close our hearing on Assembly Bill 494, and we can open our hearing on Assembly Bill 487. Assembly Bill 487 suspends certain required transfers from the State General Fund to the account to stabilize the operation of the state government during the 2021-2023 biennium. Mr. Thorley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Assembly Bill 487 is a committee bill from the Assembly Committee on Ways and Means. It's a very short bill. Under current law, with certain exceptions, at the close of the previous fiscal year and before the issuance of the State Controller's report, the State Controller is required to transfer from the State General Fund to the account to stabilize the operation of state government, also known as a rainy day fund, 1% of the total anticipated revenue projected for the current fiscal year by the Economic Forum. This bill would suspend those transfers that are required to be made under the law for the entire 21-23 biennium. So under the provisions of Section 1 of Assembly Bill 487, a transfer to the rainy day fund based on 1% of the estimated revenue would not occur in FY22, nor would it occur in FY 2023. Happy to answer any questions that the committee might have on this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Thorley. Does the committee have any questions on Assembly Bill 487? Senator Kiekhaefer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Thorley, what's the dollar value of this to each year of the biennium?
Senator Kiekhaefer, is your question what would be transferred if this provision wasn't suspended?
What's the anticipated transfer?
Yeah.
that we won't be making in this case, which would be retaining it in the general fund, right?
Approximately $43 million in FY22 and $46 million in FY23 would not occur.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? All right, thank you. Seeing none, I appreciate that, Mr. Thorley, and we will go to the phones for anyone in support of Assembly Bill 487.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support on Assembly Bill 487, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in support at this time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in opposition to Assembly Bill 487?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in opposition on Assembly Bill 487, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in neutral to Assembly Bill 487?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in neutral on Assembly Bill 487, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you. With that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 487 and take a very brief recess. And I am going to try to see if the presenter is around for Senate Bill 286. All right, we are back. That was an actual brief recess. And we have the last bill that we're going to hear tonight, and then we're going to move into a work session on some previously heard bills, and the bills we just heard is Senate Bill 286. Senate Bill 286 was sponsored by Senator Harris, came out of the Committee on Government Affairs, revises provisions relating to public employees, and has amendments. And Senator Harris, if you just want to briefly describe what the bill does, more importantly, describe what the amendment does. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Brooks and members of the Senate Finance Committee. I'm Dallas Harris, representing Senate District 11. I'll get straight to the chase. I'll start with the most important part. The amendment before you is a conceptual amendment. You all should have access to that. Hopefully it is on Nellis. It deletes Section 2 of the bill, which would get rid of the fiscal note. It also adds an additional section that pertains to deputy marshals and their ability to collective bargain with the county commission. The remaining section of Senate Bill 286 is Section 1, which has to do with supervisory employees and mostly applies to our supervisors in our police departments in the state. Happy to take any questions. I don't know if we have Mr. McCann available or Mr. Donahue. We have Mr. Donahue here to answer any questions, especially on the new section that is in the amendment, and I would be happy to answer any questions that I can. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Senator Harris. And we do have your proposed amendment to Senate Bill 286, dated today, May 28th, on Nellis. And the committee, do we all have access to that? Has everyone seeing that on Nellis? Under the exhibits side of the meeting page for tonight. And, right on. And so,
And Chair Brooks,
yes.
if I may, I wanted to make sure I put one thing on the record. Section 1 of Senate Bill 286 is meant to be clear that it applies to local governments.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Does the committee have any questions on Senate Bill 286's amendment? Senator Dondero Loop.
Yes, and thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I don't know if, because I haven't heard this bill presented, so if I ask a question that's been asked, please correct me or answer and let me know. So with the bailiffs and the deputy marshals, so do I understand that they're going to be part of collective bargaining now?
Thank you for the question, Senator Dondero Loop, to you through Chair Brooks, and I'll allow Mr. Donahue to follow up if I don't get your answer quite right. What they will be allowed to do is collective bargain with the county on subjects that they are allowed to collectively bargain over, and that is defined basically by the subjects that they are not under the court's control. And so any subjects related to their employment that the courts control, they would not be allowed to collectively bargain under. Whatever remains, they would be allowed to collectively bargain under.
Okay, I've followed this for copious amounts of years, maybe 20. So the other question that I have is, the bailiffs are still hired by the judges, so are they still at-will employees?
Thank you for the question, Senator Dondero Loop, to you through Chair Brooks. Yes, this does not change their employee status.
Okay, I think that answers my questions. If I think of another one, I'll raise my hand. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And it does not appear, as amended, that there are any fiscal notes whatsoever on the bill at this time. Is that correct?
Okay, thank you for the question, Chair Brooks. Yes, that is correct.
All right. Any questions from the committee? How you doing tonight, Mr. Donahue?
Thank you, Chair. Andy Donahue for the record. I'm fine, thank you.
Great. Just didn't want you to leave here without saying anything. Do you have anything to add, or?
Thank you, Chair Brooks, Andy for the record. I think I would just simply reiterate that the amendment that there's a conceptual for everybody does not have an indication of providing a new fiscal note, as it were. And just to shore up the astute and full answer from the sponsor to Senator Dondero Loop, I would compliment Mr. Killian from LCB, who encouraged that these definitions of what is bargained for and what's not bargained for are mutually defined before any bargaining activity occurs. Thank you, Chair Brooks.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Senator Dennis, do you have any questions?
Yes, on page.
All right. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Do we have anyone here in support of Senate Bill 286? Mr. Saltero, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Randy Saltero representing AFSCME. With the conceptual amendment and the point that was made by Senator Harris that this would, the amendment would have the language properly placed in the bill that describes this as applies to local government only. AFSCME is in full support. With that, AFSCME will be in full support of this bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in support of Senate Bill 286? All right. Seeing none, can we go to the phones and see if we have anyone in support of Senate Bill 286?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support on Senate Bill 286, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 837, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Kent Irvin, K-E-N-T-E-R-V-I-N, for the Nevada Faculty Alliance. We are in support of SB 287 because we support the right of public employees in Nevada to collectively bargain with their governing bodies, as we have supported in SB 373 also for NSHE faculty. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else on the phone in support of Senate Bill 286?
Thank you, Chair. Caller with the last 3 digits, 683, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee and staff. For the record, my name is Rick McCann, and I am the Executive Director for the Nevada Association of Public Safety Officers and a member of the Nevada Law Enforcement Coalition. I wish to thank Senator Harris for sponsoring this bill for your consideration. I know the hour is late, so I'll spare you a short history of the bill, and suffice it to say that Section 1A4 is designed to add a group to the exclusions under NRS 288.138. That group is the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Police Protective Association civilian employees. We call them PPACE. They employ dispatchers, crime scene investigators, crime analysts, legal assistants, and others under a paramilitary command structure, just like law enforcement officers. Without this amendment to include these folks, there are certain union groups that are seeking to raid PPACE, to be honest with you, and they're trying to raid them of their members under the definition of NRS 288.138. By adding these civilian law enforcement support service workers to this statute, they will be exempted under their own paramilitary command structure, and they can stay in their own bargaining unit without fear of being pulled out as part of a union busting campaign. I need to emphasize something that Senator Harris said and Mr. Saltero said. It's important to note that this section does not deal with state employees. It deals with local government employees, and we have agreed to the appropriate amended language that will likely find its way into this bill in due course here shortly, and we want to make sure that's clear. It deals with local government employees, county in this case. So for those reasons, we fully support SB 286, and we urge the committee's support as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in support of SB 286?
Chair, the public line is open and working. However, there are no additional callers on the line at this time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in opposition to Senate Bill 286?
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working. However, there are no additional callers at this time.
Okay, thank you. We have somebody in the room. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. Good evening, Chair Brooks, members of the Finance Committee, Alex Ortiz with Clark County, here in opposition to Senate Bill 286. Sorry, I have to look at the bill number here for a second. We want to thank the sponsor and the representatives. We did speak with them and stated our opposition to this bill. And just recently, we were presented with this amendment not that long ago, so we haven't had an opportunity to completely review the full impact of this, but we do have some concerns with this. We believe that this proposed amendment seeks to overturn some court and EMRB decisions. The Nevada Supreme Court in its Sparks decision made it clear that all employees within the court system were court employees and not county. If the legislature has the power to designate marshals and bailiffs as county employees, then of course they would have the power to designate all court employees as county employees, and we suspect that the courts will object to this. We also want to state that in a 2014 case before the Local Government Employee Management Relations Board, the board ruled that the ultimate effect of applying the Washington model in this case, which was argued in that case, would be to make the county conclusively responsible for setting certain terms of employment for the county employees. The board has previously expressed a significant concern that making county employees subject to the bargaining requirements of the Act would tend to infringe upon the inherent rights and powers of the courts. Citation noted. That concern has not lessened. If anything, that concern has only been heightened in light of the recent decision of the Nevada Supreme Court, or at that point, the recent decision of the Nevada Supreme Court in the City of Sparks versus Sparks Municipal Court. In the City of Sparks, the inherent authority of the courts to manage its own employees, including the rate of pay, was central to the Supreme Court's reasoning that the City Council in that case could not impose a pay cut upon court employees. City of Sparks does not leave any room for this board, the local government employee management relations board, does not leave any room for this board to require a local government employer to bargain with county employees due to the inherent authority of courts over such matters. And for those reasons, they declined to follow the Washington model proposed by the Clark County Deputy Marshals Association. So again, we are in opposition to this. We do want to continue to review this proposed amendment and ensure that that we understand the full impact to the county and to the courts. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clark, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Tom Clark. I'm here on behalf of the Nevada Judges of Limited Jurisdiction. Like my co-presenter has said, this was an amendment that we just received. Unfortunately, unless I'm asking for a warrant, I can't get a judge out of bed to talk to them about the specifics of this. I can tell you that historically, the judges of limited jurisdiction, for the reasons that have been stated previously, have opposed this particular concept, mostly and simply because there's a blurring of lines between the responsibilities of the executive branch and the responsibilities of the judicial branch. And we feel that this particular amendment crosses a line there, consistent with what the courts have said in the past. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Do we have anyone else in opposition to Senate Bill 286? All right, I don't see any here in the building, so we'll go to the phones. Can we see if we have anyone in opposition to Senate Bill 286 on the phone?
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working, and there are no additional callers in opposition at this time.
All right, do we have anyone in neutral here in the room to Senate Bill 286? I do not see any. Anyone on the phones?
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working, and there are no additional callers at this time.
All right, thank you. With that, I will close the hearing on Senate Bill 286, and we will roll right into work sessions unless we have a BDR that's hot off the presses that we want. Nope, we do not. So we will go into work session, and I would start with Senate Bill 286, since we have the presenter and sponsor in the room, and we all have the amendment that was presented to us, and so I think that the fiscal impact is 0 at this point. So I think that the motion would be amend and do pass as amended. And so anyone want to make that motion? Senator Dennis, have a motion from Senator Dennis to amend and do pass as amended. And a second, I'm looking for seconds. Second from Senator Cannizzaro, excuse me. And any discussion on the motion? Senator Gokachia, please.
Just a comment. Clearly, there's no fiscal impact as far as the state's concerned, but I'm not too sure I like the policies. So with that, I'll vote for it in committee, but reserve my right when we get to the floor.
Yes, sir, Senator. Appreciate that. Any other comments from the committee? Nope. All right. We have a motion, a second, comments. So all in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, nay? So I have a nay from Senator Kekeffer, Hammond, Gansert, but Senator Gokachia is a yes with reservations, and with that, the motion passes with the majority of the members, and I will assign that floor statement to Senator Harris, please. All right, thank you. That will lead us to a work session on, what do we have, Mr.
Senate Bill
Thorley?
164.
And then, so let's walk through it from here on out. So we have 164, and then we're going to do, what else are we going to work session this evening?
Senate Bill 460, Assembly Bill 487, Assembly Bill 492, Assembly Bill 493, and Assembly Bill 494, which were all just previously presented.
And will we be able to work session Senate Bill 267? I think we discussed that earlier, but I'm not sure if we determined whether or not we were ready to or not.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, Senate Bill 267 also.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and go with 164.
Do you want me to go ahead?
Senator Scheibel, yes, if you could. Actually, Mr. Thorley, if you have the history of when did we hear this bill?
Mr. Chair, this bill was heard on May 20th. There is a proposed amendment. It is on Nellis, proposed amendment 3459 to Senate Bill number 164, dated today, May 28th, 2021.
All right, thank you. So if it is posted on Nellis under our meeting site for this evening's meeting, and we have it in front of us here, and I know that Senator Scheibel has spoke with many of the members about this amendment. If you could briefly describe the amendment and what it has done to the fiscal note, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Melanie Scheibel, for the record, Senate District 9. The amendment removes any fiscal impact of SB 164. Last time I was here on May 20th, SB 164 reflected an interim study, which we may or may not have the funding for. Therefore, I have proposed the attached amendment and the amendment that's on Nellis, which does not propose an interim study. Instead, it makes two changes to the statute regarding prostitution. The first thing it does is divide out two different crimes for engaging in prostitution versus soliciting prostitution, so different crimes for buyers and sellers. And then the other thing it does is update the language in that part of the NRS to utilize the term person instead of prostitute. So it reads, if a person is arrested or a person is cited, instead of if a prostitute is cited or a prostitute is arrested. And like you said, I think I've talked to almost every member of this committee about the bill. Happy to answer any questions now or let you amend and do pass and move on into hour 12 of this day for you guys.
Subtle hint. I understand. Subtle hint. Do we have any questions for Senator Scheibel? Do we have any questions for Senator Scheibel on Senate Bill 164? All right. Thank you, Senator Scheibel. And I would entertain a motion to amend and do pass as amended. I have a motion from Senator Ratty, a second from Senator Dennis. Any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Senator Scheibel. And assign that floor statement to Senator Scheibel. All right, and now we have up Senate Bill 460.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Bill 460 was just heard by the committee not too long ago. This bill contains appropriations to various state agencies and other entities that were not included in the Appropriations Act. In total, the bill contains $17.7 million worth of general fund appropriations over the 21-23 biennium. Happy to answer any questions that the committee might have.
Thank you. And I know we had a good amount of questions in the hearing earlier when we were hearing it in a BDR form. Any questions from the committee on Senate Bill 460? Assembly Bill 460.
This one's a Senate bill.
Oh. Senate Bill 460. Getting them confused. Seeing none, I would take a motion to, now, was this no, this wasn't amended. So Senate Bill 460 do pass. I have a motion from Senator Dennis, second from Senator Ratty. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. And motion passes unanimously. And I'll just go around the room. Senator Kekeffer.
I just like my right to reserve on that one.
Yes, sir. So I will assign that to Senator Dennis, please. Next up, we have Senate Bill 487.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That's actually an Assembly bill this time, so thank you.
Just about
Mr.
to say,
Hartz?
actually, Assembly Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Hartz.
492, I believe.
47 this time,
Wrong
yeah.
folder. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Assembly Bill 487 was heard earlier this evening. This bill, as the committee will recall, suspends the 1% rainy day transfer to the account to stabilize the operation of state government, otherwise known as the rainy day account, in fiscal year 22 and 23. This bill is effective upon passage and approval.
All right, thank you. Any questions on Assembly Bill 487? All right, seeing none, I take a motion to do pass. I have a motion from Senator Dennis. I have a second from Senator Dondero Loop. Yeah, she's into it. She'll give me a second on that motion. Any discussion? Senator Gocochea.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll support it on the committee, but reserve my right.
Thank you, Chair Brooks. I'm going to reserve my right as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kekeffer?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate it. I will support it out of committee, but I do think that I'm not sure about whether we need to do this and whether we should do this, but getting it onto the floor for timing purposes is important. So happy to support it today.
Thank you. I agree with you and hope we find a situation where we can actually amend it, but we got to keep everything moving for our time frame standpoint. So appreciate those comments. We have a motion, a second, some discussion. All in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. All right, thank you. And so the motion passes unanimously. We have some reservations, and we will assign that floor statement to me. And that moves us on to Senate Bill 492, Assembly Bill 492.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Assembly Bill 492 is the CIP bill for the 2021-23 biennium. It was just heard. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thorley. Do we have any questions on Assembly Bill 492, the CIP bill? I do not see any, so I'd take a motion to pass. I have a motion from Senator Dennis, a second from Senator Dondero Loop. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously, and sign that to Senator Kekeffer, please. And that brings us to Assembly Bill 493.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Assembly Bill 493 was also presented and officially heard this evening. This is the bill that provides for the compensation of state employees, and it also spends money, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hartz. Any questions from the committee on Assembly Bill 493? All right. Seeing none, I take a motion to do pass. I have a comment from Senator Ratty.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the discussion. I just have to say that I am still struggling with where we are ending on the pay bill with the disparity between the 3% COLA and the 1% COLA. Again, understand that we need to keep it moving, and this may be where we land, but I just have to say that I'm having a hard time with this, particularly for the 17% of employees who do not have access to collective bargaining in the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ratty. Any other discussion? Senator Kekeffer.
For that same reason, I'll be voting no here and reserving. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Senator Sievers-Gansert?
Same, thank you.
Okay. Senator Gokuchia?
No, I was waiting for the motion, but anyway, no, I'll be voting no.
All right. Well, we just skipped a step. It's cool. I would take a motion to pass. I have a motion from Senator Dennis, second from Senator Dondero Loop. Any discussion on the motion? All right. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. So I have Senator Kekeffer, Senator Hammond, Senator Gokuchia, and Senator Gansert as a no. And the motion passes with majority. And I will assign that to Senator Dondero Loop, please. And that takes us to Senate Bill 494. Assembly Bill 494.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Assembly Bill 494 is the Appropriations Act. It was just heard. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions on Assembly Bill 494? All right. Seeing none, I take a motion to do pass. And I have a motion from Senator Dennis, a second from Senator Ratty. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. And that motion passes unanimously. And could I assign that to Senator Sievers-Gansert, please? Thank you. Now, that brings us to our last work session item and our last business item tonight and on our agenda before public comment, and that is a work session on Senate Bill 267 that we heard a couple days ago. And Mr. Thorley, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Bill 267 was heard by the committee on May 27th. Senator Spearman presented the bill, and she also proposed a conceptual amendment. The conceptual amendment has been drafted now and is posted on Nellis as an exhibit on today's meeting. It is proposed Amendment 3443 to Senate Bill 267, dated May 28th. As testified by Senator Spearman, with the proposed amendment, which is now a mock-up, the Department of Taxation would no longer have a fiscal impact. Jan Jones-Blackhurst also provided testimony that with the amendment, it would authorize UNLV to conduct a study concerning diversity and equality in the workplace. Testimony was provided that participation in the survey would be voluntary and would be performed by Black Fire Innovation, which would help facilitate the study at no cost to the state. Director Young with the Department of Taxation confirmed that with the mock-up now, there would be no fiscal impact on the department. There was no testimony in support of the bill. There was no testimony in opposition. Testifying in neutral was Jamie Rodriguez on behalf of Washoe County and Brandy Hairston. Happy to answer any questions that the committee might have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. If you look on Nellis for tonight's meeting, there is a amendment that was mocked up by legal, and that amendment reflected the conceptual amendment that was presented by Senator Spearman when she made the presentation, and reflected her testimony. I'm not sure that it necessarily addressed fully the concerns issued by some of the members of the committee, but that does reflect the testimony that she gave and in her conceptual. So do we have any questions from the committee on Senate Bill 267? All right, seeing no questions, I would look for a motion to amend and do pass as amended. I have that motion from Senator Dennis. And do I have a second? I have a second from Senator Ratty. Any discussion on the motion? Senator Kekeffer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In Section 3, subsection 2, it indicates that the provisions of NRS 360.255 do not apply to any records and files of the department. Those are the confidentiality requirements. So I think the language that's presented says that the confidentiality provisions of our tax records don't apply to this data rather than do. So for that reason, I can't support it.
Thank you, Senator Kekeffer. Any other comments on the motion? Senator Sievers-Gansert.
Thank you, Chair Brooks. I recognize the importance of collecting this data, but I too am concerned about confidentiality. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any other comments on the motion? Okay. All right. So I am looking. We already have a motion. Second, comments. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. So the noes are Senator Kekeffer, Senator Hammond, Senator Sievers-Gansert, and Senator Gokachia. It passes with the majority present, or the majority of the committee. And I will assign that floor statement to Senator Spearman, please. So that is it. That is our work for tonight. Our last agenda item is public comment. We have no one left in the room at 10:30 on a Friday night after a 6-4 win in Game 7 of the series of the Golden Knights game. 6-2, excuse me. And we will go to public comment. Do we have anyone on the phone?
Thank you so much, Chair. We are currently in public comment. If you have joined the call and would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public line is open and working. However, there are no callers wishing to provide public comment at this time.
Thank you. And with that, I will adjourn this meeting for this evening. We will be back here tomorrow at the call of the chair, and we're trying to start at 9 a.m. And we're going to try to assemble as many people as we can to help us present these bills tomorrow. And the most exciting part of that, though, is it will be casual Saturday in Senate Finance. Yeah. Talk to Claire. No tie. I plan on it. I don't know about hoodies, man. Yeah. So we'll see you in the morning. And thank you to the wonderful broadcast services staff and fiscal staff and the finance committee staff who make all of this happen late into the night.